Welcome to Windy Wednesday live with Adrenajen, where I talk about all things wind, weather, and of course, my favorite sport of snow kiting. So this week we are talking about kites for snow. Last week we talked about harnesses, and if you missed that one, it's on YouTube. And this week we are talking about different types of kites for snow kiting. So what kite should I use for snow kiting? Good question, because there's a lot of different kites out there. There's kites for water, there's kites for land kiting, then there's paragliders and there's wings and all sorts of things. So let's get into that today so that you can decide which kite you might want to buy if you're getting into snow kiting. So for those of you who don't know me, hi, g'day mate. My name is Jenny Milton, aka Adrenajen. I've been snow kiting for over 20 years and I have a huge passion for teaching others to fly kites on water and snow also. I'm IKO and KA certified. I'm a kite instructor, backcountry guide, ski instructor, nerdy gear tech, definitely best friends with the wind and a lover of sexy snowstorms. So hi for everybody here who's watching that I haven't met before. So let's get into talking about kites, my favorite subject. So really there's three different types that we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about trainer kites, foil kites, and inflatable kites. So do you know the difference between them? You know, trainer kites are great for learning. Foil kites are normally for land-based sports, but we're using them also in the water now too. And inflatable kites are designed for using on water, because if we crash them on the water, they float so that we can do a water relaunch. So let's talk about trainer kites. So trainer kites are fantastic for first-time kite flyers to learn the basic skills of the wind window and also, you know, flying the kite, how to create power. They're super safe to fly, and it's great to get your practice and your hours up. A trainer kite normally comes between 3 and 5 meters. You also have some like 1.5s and 2.5s, and those are going to be great for your kids to get into it and maybe just to have a bit of a fly. But when I talk about trainer kites, I'm talking about a trainer kite that is going to tow you with your skis or your snowboard on. So we want to use a 3 to a 5 meter trainer kite. And I recommend getting a 3-line trainer kite. Some trainer kites will just have 2 lines. And those 2 lines are for steering the kite, and that's going to be perfect to teach you all of those maneuvers. But with a 2-line kite, if you let go of it, it can tend to get into a tangle, and then you've got to actually walk, you know, down, fix it up, walk back and relaunch it again. Whereas the 3-line trainer kites are fantastic, because if you let go of the bar or you crash them, they actually organize themselves so that they're ready for relaunch. And so 99% of the time you can just tug a few lines and then relaunch the kite yourself without having to go down. So they tend to be fantastic if you want to be self-sufficient, go down there and practice without having somebody having to, you know, pick your kite up every time. So I've jumped into my buddies at Ozone's website just to keep it simple. There's lots of great brands out there, but I just want to show you the differences between the kites today. So I'm just going to stick with one brand. And right now we're looking at the 2 different trainer kites that Ozone has. So they're going to have the Go V1. Now that is a single skin trainer kite. And then we're going to have the Ignition V3. Now that's the 3-line trainer kite that I use in my snow kite school. That thing is the bomb, right? It's really fantastic. Great for beginners, great for kids. I recommend everybody have a trainer kite in their quiver, because it's going to allow you to get lots and lots of hours up safely. If you just dive straight into the big kites first, you want to have an instructor or somebody who's with some experience with you, whereas a trainer kite, you know, you can get your lesson, then go and practice on that trainer to get as many hours as you can up. Now I'm going to talk about foil kites. And when I started putting this together, I was like, wow, there's different types of foil kites. So let me explain those to you. So foil kites are just fabric. right? They're designed for land-based kiting. They were, we can use them with buggies and boards and on skis. And the low aspect foil kites, which I'm talking about. Now, when I say low aspect, they're kind of like a big handkerchief, nearly squarish, right? We'll get into some of the high aspect foils in a little bit, and they're long and skinny, but the low aspect foil kites are great for beginners. Okay, beginners looking for their first 4-line kite, maybe after their trainer kite, you could look at getting a low aspect foil kite, and it's super simple to set up. Some of them actually come with shorter lines, perfect for beginners to make it easy to relaunch, easy to fly, super safe. They nearly fly themselves. I've got one in my school quiver, and every time somebody crashes it, the thing just relaunches by themselves. It's fantastic. So that's the low aspect kites. And the other 4 kite, which is becoming super popular, and these are great for both beginners and advanced, is what's called a single skin foil kite. Now that's just going to have 1 layer of fabric, a single skin, and then it's going to have these little kind of pieces of fabric that come down to hold the bridles. Right. And these are great. I love the single skins kite. They're sort of the latest and the greatest on the market in terms of backcountry snow kites, because they're only 1 layer. It means they pack up really small. They're super lightweight, perfect for backcountry. You can fly them with either 4 or 5 lines. I'm actually seeing more single skins on the water too with the advanced riders. Don't forget, if you crash one of these, they are not going to relaunch off the water like the inflatable kites. So single skin foils are definitely becoming the most popular choice for snow kiters of all levels. Probably the most popular ones out there are the Ozone Explore and the Fly Surfer, the Peak 5. There's a lot of them on the mountain, and you really can't go wrong if you were buying your first kite going for a single skin. So here are the 2 Ozone kites. That's the Explore V2, which that's the single skin that I was telling you about. I've been taking that into, you know, some remote locations in Alaska, and it's amazing. My 10-meter Explore V2 will fly in 2 to 3 knots. So that's definitely like the lightest wind possible to fly a kite. It's great. Now the Pure V1, it's my favorite kite in my school, because that thing sets people up for success, makes you feel like a hero straight away. It's also a really good price. So for about $800, you can get an 8-meter, and it comes with a bar and a line. Whereas once you get up into the single skin kites, you're definitely bumping over that $1,000 mark. So let's talk about medium aspect kites. So as I mentioned, foil kites were originally designed for land-based sports like snow kiting, but are also used on water these days, especially with your hydrofoil boards and for racing. Medium aspect kites, so they're getting skinnier now, are ready to take you to the next level of performance. They've got a huge wind range for their size, and oh my gosh, they point upwind like you've never been before, especially on skis, because you got 2 metal edges. So you're going to have a whole new wind angle, like angle of pointing upwind. So unless you want to race, medium aspect kites are definitely the gold standard of snow kites, and they can be used both with 4 or 5 lines. They're more of an intermediate to advanced kite. I do see people starting out with that kite that maybe have some experience on water already, but be aware, I have seen some beginners buy the expensive medium aspect foil kites and do damage to them because they were just, you know, lacking a few skills, but that's okay. They can be repaired most of the time. So here's a couple of medium aspect foil kites. You've got your Sub-Zero V2. That is your dedicated snow kite performance. I've got one of those myself. The Hyperlink V3 is a great kite if you want to foil and you want to go on both water and snow, because it has the ability to be able to have open struts. So it allows the air to flow in, right? Open cell, sorry, or closed cell, which closes it off. So if you crashed on the water, it would be best to have those closed so the water doesn't go in. Whereas on snow, it's nice to have them open to allow us to do a summit pack down. The Chrono V3 EXP. Now the Chrono comes in both a standard, which is what they're using on water a lot, and then an EXP version. Now the EXP version is the one that comes with 5 lines. It is, experts, expeditions. That's going to be the kite that I get to cross Greenland on. So, and that's also the kite that I used to race in the Red Bull Ragnarok when I was racing in my snow kiting. So that's a brilliant kite. I would kind of call that half, medium and high. It's hard. I couldn't really choose where to put the Chrono. So yeah, let's have a look. Oh, my Ozone brought out a new color. Thanks, guys. They now have purple. So you too can order yourself a purple snow kite now. And I was loving the performance of that Sub-Zero this year. So high aspect for kites, the high aspect long skinny kites, high performance for advanced riding and racing. They're going to point upwind even better than the other kites as well, and also for drifting downwind. They are going to turn a lot slower, so they're definitely they're the truck, they're the kite that's going to give you really good pull to go fast, to go upwind, to cover long distances. So the 2 kites that are high aspect in the ozone range is going to be the Chrono, like I mentioned, and also the V1, R1 V4, that's version 4 of the R1, which is their race kite. So if you guys want to beat your friends, that's definitely the one you need. So let's talk about inflatable kites. Now, inflatable kites are designed for using on water for kiteboarding. They float, can be relaunched off the water, like I mentioned. The really cool thing about inflatable kites, because they're probably the most popular kites on the market. There's a lot more people kiting on water than there is on snow. So they have all these different styles of inflatable kites. So you can get kites for freestyle. They're going to be great for jumping and spinning. You're going to have free ride kites, which are great for beginners to advanced, for doing a bit of everything. And also wave style kites. Now, you wouldn't think a wave style kite might necessarily be good for snow, right? But guess what? That's my wave kite right there that I love using in Alaska. So even wave kites can be fantastic for snow kiting. If you've got a kite, you can go snow kiting. You don't need to buy a specific kite for the sport. If you've got water kites, they are going to work, no problems at all. I've got some more training that I can teach you about using inflatables on snow. So please follow me. And I've got a great presentation I did on my YouTube channel about the pros and cons of using inflatables on snow. So I invite you to have a look at that when you've got a little bit of time. The disadvantages of the inflatables is they're going to be heavier. You need to have a pump to pump them up, so you're going to have to carry that. They're going to be heavier, but the kite performance is super high, which is why I love flying mine. So if you want a kite to use on both water and snow, and you don't want to risk crashing in the water and not being able to relaunch it, then inflatable kites are definitely the way to go. So Ozone has a huge range of water kites. That's all of them now. As I mentioned, all the different styles, and you can see that they even have their foil kites in their water kite range, because those are getting more popular. Now, I couldn't do this presentation without mentioning the wind wings, okay? Inflatable wings. They are becoming super popular out there with all of the water men and women who love wind sports. They're using those inflatable wings with a hydrofoil board most of the time. So for the last few years, I've been mucking around with them on snow to see what is possible and what is not. Now, I had a fantastic time using ice skates on a frozen lake because there was no friction. That was awesome. I can't wait to do that again. I also had a great time building a jump at the ski resort and using gravity to go off the jump and then using the wing to give me a little bit more air. That was a great fun, but I was really unable to use the wing to take me up the mountain. And I was a little bit limited on the snow surfaces that it could take me on. With a hydrofoil board and with ice skates, there's very little friction. But with skis and a snowboard on snow, we have a lot more friction involved, which means we need a lot more pull. So if you've got kind of hard pack, you know, kind of firm snow, the wing's going to work a lot better than if you had kind of spring, sticky, heavy snow. It's going to be a lot harder. But I think with the technology going, let's all start practicing with our wings, and we're going to see where they can take us in the future. You can see that Ozone actually has 3 different models already for different styles. So we haven't seen the end of the wings yet. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation today about all of the different kites for snow kiting. As I mentioned, if you've got a kite and you love to ski and snowboard, then you can go snow kiting. You don't necessarily need to buy a special kite, but I hopefully have provided you with some more information, so now you understand the differences and you can decide which kite is going to suit your style. So thanks for watching. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and my YouTube channel, and I will see you next week for Windy Wednesday. Thanks for watching.